Momshies! Welcome back to my channel. As always, before we start our video, I would like to invite everyone to follow this page, follow my Facebook and Instagram, and comment down below for any suggestions for any projects. Today, we are going to work on something that is very quick because, Christmas season, and we have other people that we need to give gifts to, and a lot of us don't have time. So here are the materials and substitutions for this project, and of course this can be used in any scrap yarns. And for the button part, you can either skip that, put a real button in there, or make the crochet button, which makes a lot of difference, quite honestly. So to begin this project, just get any mug of your choice. Actually, you can even do this on glasses. Get your measuring tape and measure your mug to know how long your initial chain is going to be. So for this case, it's 9.5, 9 1/4 inches. And for this project, because this is one of my yarn busters or stash busters, I am using the Love Knots yarn that I've had in my stash, and I did a double pull. Make sure as well that when you do your initial chain and when you check its measurement, you stretch it out, because if you don't stretch it and measure it, then it might be too loose for your mug. So always keep on checking and make sure that your initial chain is on odd numbers as well, because it will be very useful for the next rounds that will follow. But other than that, this is not very strict on measurements. You can even make it into a headband or anything else. And after your initial chain, just go on the third stitch from the hook and just single crochet the rest of the row. And the reason why I chose this is because it's a quick project that you can give to anyone this Christmas. For the next row, just chain 2, because we are going to do half double crochets for this round, and then you skip the first stitch below those chain 2s and then half double crochet on the next stitch, and just half double crochet the rest of the row. Pretty much this is very straightforward, this part of the project, and you will see the difference on the next row. And for the next row, what we need to do is chain 1 first, and as usual, do not crochet anything on that part, but do a single crochet on the next stitch, and then look for the third hoop, not the first 2 hoops at the top, which we normally crochet at, but the hoop on the side, and this is where we are going to do the single crochet. You will do this method for the rest of the row, and in a bit I will show you why we are actually crocheting on this part. Once you have done this, I will show you guys why. And this is gonna give our project a bit of a braided effect. So if I turn this work over, you will see that on the other side we have this mini braid that looks really nice, and that happened because we single crocheted on the third stitch. Okay, so on this part, on the next row, what we need to do is to chain 3, and this will serve as our first double crochet. We are going to skip the next stitch after that and do a double crochet on the next stitch, just like so. And then what you need to do is you're gonna do a bobble on the stitch that we skipped. For the bubble, all you need to do is just yarn over and pull it on the same length as your next row, and then do that 3 times, and then yarn over the last time and pull that on all the loops, and just do it like you would do a double crochet. And you will repeat this process for the entire row. So what you need to do is to skip 1 stitch, double crochet on the next part, and then backtrack on that with a bobble stitch. Now, quite honestly, this bobble was a bit challenging for me when I first did it, but trust me, the effect that we will have after it's done is very worth it. And as I've said, just continue this stitch on the rest of the row. Okay, so now that I've done that, and usually you would have 1 extra double crochet at the end, what you need to do is again chain 3, and then on that space do a double crochet on the same stitch that I've showed, and then we will backtrack on that space where we crossed the bubble and the double crochet off the previous row. So what you need to do is to bubble on that part, and then for your double crochet you simply have to look for the space between the last bubble and the double crochet. Again, this process shall be repeated for the next couple of stitches until the end of the row. And as you can see, because we are doing this as if we are linking the bubbles, we are creating a semi braid effect. And if you are very consistent with your bubbles, the better the stitch will look. There we go. So this is the row entirely. So as you can see, we also have that extra double crochet in the end, and for the next row it's just going to be easy. We're just going to chain 2 and then half double crochet for the rest of the row. It's that easy. So just continue on this part because we will be replicating the mini braid that we did on the first part of this mug sleeve. So just continue on with your half double crochets until you reach the end of the row. For the next part, we are going to repeat what we did on the first mini braid, which is single crocheting on the first stitch, and then looking for the third loop or the third hoop, and then single crocheting on that part till you reach the end of the row. Now, you know the trick on this. As we go along, the more prominent the mini braid is going to be. So just repeat this process as usual, and at the end of the row you will see that you have your mini braid once again, just like this one. You can see once you have finished the last row, that is basically your entire project, and the braids look wonderful. And this is, you know, very simple to make once you get used to the bubble thing. Actually, the bubbles are the only part of this project that is a bit hard, quite honestly. And because of the arrangement of the bubbles, there's always gonna be a space on the end of this project, which will serve as your hole for the button. So you don't really have to create a buttonhole for this. And for this project, I actually opted to make a crochet button because using up the yarns from Love Knots, I just had these like teeny pieces of yarn that I don't really have anything to do with. So I figured that I could make buttons out of them. But if you don't want to make buttons out of yarns, it's completely up to you. You can even make this into a tied version. Just make sure that you create chains instead of fastening it off at the end of your project. So if you haven't seen my other tutorials yet for the ear savers, go check that out because I also showed on that tutorial how to make yarn buttons. But just for the sake of this tutorial, I'll repeat it in speed mode. But again, if you want to see how I made the other ones, just follow that tutorial as well. So this is very optional, as I've said, and it's up to you if you want to make it. So with that said, just make sure that you do your crocheted or non-crocheted button and add it on to the other end of your mug sleeve, and that's basically the entire project. that's just about it. This is one of the simplest projects that I did this year, and I'm gonna use this as a Christmas giveaway. And I would also like to say that this is one of the last projects that my 4.5 millimeter hook was used at before it got eaten by my dog. So thank you guys for watching this video, and see you guys on the next tutorial. Bye bye!